Hi everybody, welcome to Old Guy's Garage. Hey everybody, welcome back, Old Guy's Garage. Today we're going to be putting new inserts in the cowl here. We're going to be cleaning it up, dry fitting the new inserts that I bought here for the cowl. And I'm going to do my own little take on these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse this old mesh, and we're basically going to sew it onto the bottom of these panels. So stay tuned. This should be a pretty fun episode. So let's get to it. Alrighty, well, one of the first things we're going to do is take the mesh off. Here, you might need a... going to keep these screws. There we go. Take this bumper out. I might have to get a regular screwdriver for that. And that one's stripped. There we go. Set the screws aside. Let's see if we pull up on it. There we go. And it's like I'm going to need a long neck Phillips to get that bumper out. But you know what? From the images I've seen, usually this mesh is cut around. Let's see if there's any other screws anywhere. I'm just going to go around and wiggle this guy loose. Okay, it does look like there's some tabs in here. I'm using a flat screwdriver on. There we go. And it is going to pull this seal out. I'll look for the other tab. It'll just pry it out like that. One came out pretty easy. Here's another one. There we go. There's another one. Go. Nice and taking our time here. Whoop. Just about loose. Nope, got one more right here. There we go. Alright, so we're going to reuse this. We're going to put it on the back of the inserts. So there we go. Cool beans. Next step, let's clean this up. I'm going to finish taking this trim off, and we're going to go in and get all this cleaned up. So, make sure you're not wearing any nice clothes, and we're going to go to this next step. So, you know, if you're redoing this, heck, maybe you can find a new piece of weather seal here from like Fusic. I've been ordering a lot of my parts from Fusic. They got a great catalog, and really easy to get around. It's really organized. So we're going to clean this guy up too. So anyhow, that's step one. We did the demo. View from the inside, underneath the hood of the area we're going to be working on. Okay, so We removed the mesh screen and the weather seal there. And next step, we're going to go ahead and clean this guy up. It needs cleaning. Alright, don't forget to protect your paint too. I forgot to mention that. So we're going to get the vacuum out. We're going to vacuum off as much of this as possible. Clean it up. So let's get to it. Okay, let's get some soapy water, and we're going to go ahead and get this guy wiped down. Okay, got my my little dish here of soapy water. Let's go ahead and hit this. We're going to try to get all the quote-unquote organic stuff off of here with this, and then we're going to hit it with something a little bit more aggressive if there tends to be oil or something else on the cowl here. Just watch your hands. This was made back in the day where they actually thought about all that stuff, like breaking the edges and making sure nobody's going to, you know, cut themselves, but you just want to be careful. Whoops, I just dumped, oh, and there goes the water. So anyhow, this is looking pretty good. So I'm just going to wipe this down with some rags that I have. Get most of the soap up. And then we're going to hit it with some clean water. And just so you guys know, there is a drain that goes right down in here and empties out behind the rear tire. Or the front tire, Jesus. Behind the front of the rear tire. Cool beans, man. It's looking pretty good. You know? It's looking pretty good. Alright. Man, oh man. That looks pretty good. Alright guys, I'm just wiping this down with just some clean water. No soap, just water this time. Get all that soap residue off. And then once we're done wiping this down with the water, we're going to dry it off again. I'm just going to dry it off. And then we're going to go to the next step with the vent grills. We're going to get those sized as this dries out. Okay, so we have the new inserts laid out on the old mesh here, and we're going to use good old Sharpie here and trace them. And one other note, there is a little bit of a bulge here for the windshield washer motor in arms, so we're going to want to make sure we get this guy here centered on that as well when we do our tracing. Okay? Okay, here we go. I like where that's at. And I'm going to try to orientate the mesh the same direction as the inserts here so that the mesh doesn't look crooked. And I'm going to hold the Sharpie in because we want to make sure we cut these, you know, less, you know, a little less than what the dimensions are of these inserts. Okay, let's try this again with a silver pen. Oh, there we go. Well, it's one to show. Yeah, silver Sharpie here definitely looks like it's going to work for us. There we go. Okay. So you can see, marking it with the silver Sharpie here. Next step, I think we're going to give some tin snips a try, and we're going to cut these guys out. Okay, got the tin snips here. Let's just do a test. Oh yeah, I think this is going to work. So we're just going to go around. I'm going to go on my line and cut these out first, and then we're going to fine tune them and flip them over. Okay, so here we go. We've got this one, and what we're going to do, we're going to fit it on the back. Okay, and then we're going to cut it down. If we need to trim it, we're going to cut it down. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to weave this on with some wire. Okay, but we need to make sure it fits on here first. So I'm going to notch around these guys. Whoops. And I'm just bending it, just like that. Just bending the wire. You could see here it's sticking past a little bit. We're going to want to trim that back. So there we have progress. So I'm just going to trim this back a little bit here. Not too much. There we go. Looks like we got another little tab here we're going to notch around. There we go. Make sure that screen is all the way up against this plastic here. Perfect. Man, that looks really good. That's right where it's supposed to be. Good deal. This is a little close, so I'm going to trim that back a little. Looking pretty good. Look at that. All right, let's do the other two. So you can see the first thing I did was I cut an area out for that tab. But I made sure I had plenty of this screen to go around. The next one I'm going to do is this tab, and then I'm going to notch out for these corners. I'm not going to cut off any of it. I'm just going to push it back. Push the screen back. There we go. And then I'm just going to notch out here for these corners. Just take as little as possible to get that screen flush. There we go. See? Looks like we might have to cut some of this screen back there because it's sticking past, and we don't want that. So we're just hitting these corners. There we go. Okay, and then let's flip it over again, press it in, and let's see where we have to cut our screen. You can see on this side here it's a little heavy, so we're going to cut that back, and we're going to cut that back. And we're just going to use the grid here as something to follow by. So I'm going to take one block of squares off. I'm going to take a half a block of squares off on this side. Okay, let's stick this back on. Reveals are looking good. It's a little close up here. And we're back. You guys can tell I started masking things off. So I am going to spray the top of the cowl here. If you want to, you can remove this chrome trim. What I am going to do is just mask it off. Here we go. These come in really handy. And I'm going to wrap the underside here of the hood because it has chrome. Then we're going to sand and scuff the top here and put a fresh coat of paint on it. And as that's drying, we're going to get the grills ready. So, doing some multitasking. So let's go ahead and finish masking this. Well, we're getting there. This is a little tedious, but I think in the end, man, it is going to be worth it. Squeeze it down in there. There we go. There we go. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Might be overkill, but there we go. Got the hood. Then I'm going to put something on top of the engine bay in there too. Okay, this looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and scuff the top of the cowl here. Okay, I'm just going to scuff it a little bit. This is 800 grit. Looks like it's doing a pretty good job here. I'm just going to knock down some of the roughness. You know, if you need to go rougher, just go down to maybe like 320. Sweet. Scuff it up, the paint will stick better too. It's pretty smooth. If you got any pitted spots, I would definitely work those down and make sure they're all nice and smoothed out. I can go down just a little more. Alright, now we're up to next step is the paint. Okay, so we got everything masked off and protected. You can see in here I got a cloth in the engine bay here. And I'm going to use some of my PR15 chassis black top coat. Okay, so I'm going to get to it here. Always do like a test spray, and when you're ready to spray, grab some scrap or some cardboard and see how your pattern is flowing out first before you get to your car. So I'm just going to go real light here, guys. I'm not going to get too crazy with my trigger here on my index finger. Just going to get some light coats on here. And again, like I said, I'm going to kind of blend it in, especially here on the edges. You can see I'm still leaving like the factory overspray. There we go. You got to try to keep these up vertical or they just won't spray. Alright, so I think that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. There we go. I'm just gonna let this dry. So I think that looks good. So let's go inside and get those grills ready. Alrighty guys, so here's the grills laid out on the table here. I'm going to sit down and do this. But here's some 24 gauge steel wire. A lot of people use it for hanging picture frames. And we got these guys, and I'm going to grab some needle nose pliers too. I think those might be helpful. And keep your snips handy. You never know when you might have to make a tweak on these. Okay, so let's give this a shot. Got our grill here. Got our wire. I think I'm just going to go in and up and down and in, almost like you're sewing this on. And what I'm going to do is just pull a whole bunch of wire. Just pull a whole bunch of wire through. Because it's better to end with too much than too little. And, well, we're just going to have to do some sewing here, boys and girls. My wife gave me this idea, so I really didn't want these. The holes in this are pretty substantial, at least I think, and I just didn't want a bunch of small stuff getting in. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to skip and go over every other one, and let's see if we can do that. Pull that off. On the top I'm just going to loop it, but on the bottom I'm going to skip one. Okay. Sometimes you're going to have to twist these to make sure they don't twist themselves, but you can see here I'm doing one, skipping one, doing one, skipping one. So let's just stick with that, because I really don't feel like doing each one of these. That's just going to take forever. There we go. So I don't know if you could see it, but yeah, I'm like skipping every other one here and just weaving it on like that. Pulling it as tight as possible. Okay? So I'm just going to do that throughout the whole thing here. Okay, so went ahead and threaded this one through. And I just went and threaded every other one. And on the back here you can see as I used one continuous piece. I guess one way to do it is just to tie a knot under each one and then just clip it. That might work too. So, and at the end I just tied it as a knot into a knot. So, well, we got the other two to do. Plenty of time here. We got the paint drying on the cowl. So let's take our time and do this. And then I'm sure once we get these completed, that cowl will be ready. We'll just drop these in place. Okay, so we've got all of these quote-unquote sewed together with that picture frame hanging wire. And the next step that we're going to do, we got a little black paint pen. If the silver, you want to hide some of the silver from the wire, you guys can just go around and cover up the silver with this black paint, and voila, it really does disappear, at least on the surface here. It definitely doesn't jump out at you as much. So alrighty, so got the cowl all painted up there. Got our new grills here with that mesh reinforcement. So not really reinforcement, but you know, it'll keep the smaller stuff from you know, going down in the well there. So, well, let's go ahead and get these on. Okie dokie. Well, there's a one right there. I'm going to go to the other side. Go ahead and get this guy in. See if there's any particular trick here. These are plastic, but these seem to be fitting pretty darn well. Oops. And you know what? You see these holes here? I'm going to go ahead and cut those out because I see there's the bolts and nuts that run through the window arm there from the motor. I think those need to be cut out, so I'm going to cut these out real quick. So I used the snips to cut the mesh out, and then I just kind of use these pliers to kind of roll what material was left back out of the way. There we go. Got that one in. Okay. Get the center one in. It's one way. It's the other way. There we go. Got that. Push that forward. There we go. Got him in. And again, you guys can come back with your paint markers and touch that all up. And we got one of these. I'm sure Fuzik has a new one. Old Parts Group maybe. So, and we're going to just push this back in where it was before. There we go. Bumper here. I'm just gonna leave this just like this because bumper kind of helps hold that center grill in place, you know. Okay. Oh man, look at that. That looks really good. Perfect. Well, all right, everybody. Well, one more thing touched up, fixed up on this good old car. So, hope this helped you out. I hope you enjoyed my little trick here to add a little bit more coverage per se to keep smaller stuff from getting down in there. So anyhow, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, whether it's a muscle car, a classic car, a race car, your dream car, let's keep them running. And we'll see you next time.